What's going on, you guys, and welcome to the channel. Hope everybody's having a freaking awesome day. I know I sure as hell am. Today, we're going to be looking at an abandoned, old-school retro PC. Not sure if it's necessarily an old-school gaming PC, but it's a PC nonetheless, and we're going to see if we can get this thing up and working, test some games on it, and see what kind of uses we can get out of an old computer. Before we get into the video, I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. Holy crap, we have had exponential growth in the past week. I have gained so many subscribers. At time of filming, we are just under 200 subs. I'm absolutely flabbergasted at the growth. So stoked about it. Thank you for all the amazing comments, the subs, the likes, the shares, everything. I appreciate you guys so much. I am so happy. So with that being said, let's go ahead. We're going to get into this, you guys. Alright, you guys, so this is what we're dealing with today. So this is 3 of 4 of the computers that were donated to me. Essentially just ditched in a shed or left outside something. I'm not entirely sure what the whole backstory is on these computers that I got from this guy, but the previous ones were definitely in horrendous shape. I would imagine that this one's probably going to be about the same. So I will say that the case looks to be in overall like relatively good condition. We are missing a front panel piece right here. Not a big deal. I actually have plenty of these replacements that'll go right in here and make her look all nice and pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and get you guys set up, get this thing hooked up, see if it works. If not, we're going to tear it apart. Even if it does, we're still going to tear it apart. See what kind of specs we're working with, see if this thing can game, and try and get this thing circulated back into the community. So when it comes to these PCs that I'm doing, I have, if this one works, we will have 3 for my future giveaway once we hit 500 subs, you guys. Once I hit the 500 subs, I'll be giving away all 3 of the previous computers that I've done, along with quite a few gaming consoles. So I will be doing a raffle in the future. So it will be important for you guys to, if you're subbed, to join the Discord. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get set up, get this thing hooked up, and see what we got going on. Alright, you guys, so we got her all nice and hooked up. I'm gonna go ahead and see if this thing even powers on. Is it going to work? Alright, I'm getting nothing. Oh, you know what? I'm stupid. I forgot to flip the switch on the power supply. Where is it? There it is. Alright, getting a weird whistling from the power supply. That's probably not good. But we'll go ahead and try it anyways, you guys. At least if it catches on fire and sparks and all that stuff, you'll get a good show. Did it turn on? Alright, I do see a yellow light in there. Getting no lights on the front though. Will it post? And it does, in fact, post. Awesome. So this thing seems to work. So we got a CMOS checksum error. Probably going to need a new CMOS battery. Not a big deal. We're going to try and go ahead and get into the BIOS here, you guys, and see what kind of CPU we're working with. How much RAM. Excellent. Alright, so we are in the BIOS, you guys. Alright, so obviously we have no hard drives. Let's see what kind of temps we're getting. CPU is currently sitting at 43C, so that's okay, but not ideal. So let's see if we can get some specs on this thing. Alright, so either I'm blind or it is just not showing. It does not say what CPU we have in here. It does give us the hertz, but that's about it. Apparently it's a DDR3 system running at 1333 right now. So I think we are going to go ahead, crack this thing open, see what exactly it is that we're working with, and then get Windows installed on an SSD and see what we can do with this thing, you guys. Alright, you guys, so we have her laid down on the operating table. A few things that I do notice right off the bat is that it is missing some screws in the back. It's missing a couple screws on the power supply. Not really a big deal. Honestly, just make it a little bit easier to get this thing taken apart. So, I'm going to go ahead and get this front panel off and see what exactly we are working with, you guys. Alright, what is hidden inside this gem? So right off the bat, cable management is non-existent in here. It's not too dirty. I mean, it's definitely dirty, but honestly not bad at all. This actually looks really clean on the inside. I'm noticing that this cooler is quite large, so we might be dealing with a relatively decent CPU here, you guys. We're also missing a bunch of screws on the inside as well, holding it to the actual case. Got all kinds of options on this power supply to put in a better graphics card. Speaking of graphics card, it looks like we are working with an EVGA GeForce GT 630. So we're definitely going to be doing away with this. In fact, I could probably fit a good sized graphics card in here, you guys. So with that being said, knowing that this thing works, we're going to go ahead, we're going to get the graphics card out of here, we're going to get everything unplugged, and we're going to pull this thing out, see what kind of CPU we have, get some new thermal paste on there, and then go from there. So another thing that I'm noticing is none of our USB or audio has been hooked up. This is all just sitting here. None of the other front panel connectors have been hooked up except for the power. So somebody did a very incomplete job at putting this thing together. But we got everything unhooked except for this guy. Now we'll go ahead and get the motherboard out, you guys. Alright, so this thing should be good to come right on out of here. Go ahead and just tuck this stuff off to the side. This thing is very large for this case. Alright, this is what we are dealing with. This thing looks all types of beat up, unfortunately. Also, it is missing the rear I/O shield. I'm going to have to check and see if I might have a spare one of these, but it's unlikely. Oh no, what's that? Oh shit. Okay. I don't know if this is going to show up on the camera, but right here, there is a capacitor or something of that nature that has definitely been detached from the board. That is definitely not good. I wonder how this thing started up like that. I hope that it's in here somewhere. Let's go ahead and set this off to the side and see if we can't find this missing piece right here. Okay, so I see it. Do you guys see it? It blends in very well. I'll give you a second. Put in the comments. Here is our capacitor. I wonder how in the heck this thing was working like that. I'm glad that I spotted that. Talk about a freak thing. Go ahead and set this off to the side as well, and hope and pray that I have a replacement one of these, because I can just solder in a new one. Alright, so we will go ahead and give this case a nice little dusting real fast. And then we will set it off to the side and we will move on to the motherboard. Get to the juicy stuff. God, that's a lot of nasty crap just floating in the air now. So, my impression on the power supply does look to be... This looks like it's actually a Thermaltake. In fact, I think this is the same brand that failed on us a couple videos ago. Oh no. And ironically enough, it does have a very loud humming, whistling noise to it. So, we're just going to leave this guy in here for now and move on to the motherboard, you guys. Alright, you guys. So, we have the motherboard sitting here. First impressions. Obviously, we have that busted off capacitor. Another thing that I'm noting here is that the tabs for the 2 RAM modules on this side are actually broken. Not a big deal. I should be able to latch them in there with or without. It'll just be a pain in the butt to actually get them out. But overall, looks relatively clean. Bottom side is definitely funky. Okay, so we have these little plastic pieces here that somebody had screwed in the screws to hold the CPU cooler in. So I'm assuming that it's not getting enough pressure on that CPU to fully cool it. So we're going to see if we can figure something out for this and get this fixed. But we shall see. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and pull this RAM out, see what kind of RAM we're working with. We do have 4 sticks. First stick is a 2 gig Elpida. Second stick is Kingston, does not say capacity. Another Kingston, also, oh no, this one's a 2 gig. And then another Kingston, does not say capacity. So we'll go ahead and set those off to the side. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and attempt to get the CPU cooler off and see what kind of CPU it is that we're working with. Alright, let's go ahead and see what we are working with here. So thermal paste actually appears to be nice and goopy. This looks relatively fresh, actually. This looks really good. So we'll go ahead and set this off to the side. See what kind of CPU we got in here, guys. Socket does look nice and clean. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned off. Again, this thermal paste does look great. Alright, you guys, so this is our CPU. It's actually quite large. So this is an i7 975. I'm noticing that it says 08 on here for the date. However, I was pretty sure that this came out in mid-2009, but I could be wrong. So this is socket LGA 1366. It's a quad core. It's got a clock speed of 333, and I think it turbos up to right around 3.5 or 3.6. So, not a bad CPU, at least for its era. So, we'll have to see what we can actually do with this thing, you guys. So, next up, I'm just going to get our CPU back in here, and we're going to give this thing a nice good dusting, and then we're going to figure out this capacitor issue over here. Hopefully nothing else breaks off this board. Alright, so that's looking good. Let's go ahead and have a little look at this capacitor right here. So this does look like it's a 6.3 volt. It does not say the farad capacity or rating, but we're going to go ahead and see if I have a broken motherboard that might have this capacitor. Alright, you guys, so I am not going to go forward with replacing this capacitor. Unfortunately, the ones that I was able to pull do not match the specs of the one that was previously in here. So for now, since it does work, we are going to go ahead and just leave that how it is. However, when I was off camera, I did go ahead and order a few of these. So hopefully those will be here in the next few weeks, and I can actually go ahead and get that replaced. So for now, we're going to go ahead and get this thing reassembled, get some new thermal paste on here, and get this thing tested and see what kind of games it can run, I guess. I mean, it's an i7. It should be able to run some games, right? I guess we'll find out. Alright, so that is a nice healthy amount of thermal paste. So we'll go ahead and get this cooler back on here. I do have some new bolts or a proper mounting bracket for the back here to get proper pressure on here, and we will see if that makes a difference in our temps. Alright, you guys, so the graphics card that I'm deciding to go with here is an EVGA GTX 1050. This is a 2 gig model, very similar to the 1050 that we did in our previous build. It's relatively clean. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing back in the case, get everything nice and hooked up, and get Windows installed on a SSD, and then go from there. Alright, you guys, so we got this thing all back together. She is looking pretty okay. I just got to go ahead and scrape this off right here, but for now, not too worried about it. I want to see this thing work. So, she's definitely looking not half bad. Let me see if I can get a light in here real fast. Alright, much better. So yeah, definitely not bad for an older build. So, we're going to go ahead, turn this thing on, and see if it works. Y'all ready? Alright, we got power. Alright, I hear the fan spinning up. Sweet! We got the post, you guys. So I do have a 500 gig Evo SSD by Samsung, so that should give us plenty of room to download some games and see what this thing can do. Alright, you guys, so we are into our first game. I went ahead and picked Palworld. I'm going to be testing a few of the same games that I did in my previous video. If you guys didn't see the previous video, go ahead and check that out. It's actually pretty darn cool. So, right now we're sitting at around 28, 27 FPS. Not a great start, not gonna lie. However, it does seem to be a relatively smooth high 20 FPS experience. We'll get some gameplay here and see if we can get it to do any better. I do have all my settings as low as they will go. Draw distance is as low as it's gonna get, and all my testing will be at 1080p. Ooh, got some bad hitches right there. So my CPU is pegged at 99%, GPU is right around 55, and my RAM is at 94%. So this thing is definitely trying its butt off. We are now in the low 20s, you guys. Oh man. However, it is relatively smooth, so I'd say it's not horrendous. I mean, it looks okay. It's actually running better than what it's reporting to me, I would think. So we'll just run around, get into some little more intense environment here, get some trees, find some pals, and see what happens. So I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the fan for the CPU is just, it's in overdrive. It is working. One thing I'm confused about is I'm not seeing any pals. So we'll just walk around a little bit, or run around, to see if we can't find one. Oh, there we go. We got them spawning in right here. I think they're just spawning in late. Very strange. Ooh. Yep, definitely has some hitching going on. Oh, his friend's coming in to back him up. Oh, I'm getting my butt kicked. I'm about to die. Please don't kill me. Oh, I'm lagging so bad. Ah, they got me. So unfortunately, running this kind of FPS is just not feasible when it comes to gaming these days. I would say it definitely gave a good try. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and move on to the next game, you guys. Alright, you guys, so our next game is going to be The Long Drive. So far we're running right around 38 FPS. Kind of hitting the 40s. Definitely not terrible. In fact, this is looking pretty darn good. This is the lowest possible settings. Draw distance is turned pretty much all the way off. All textures have been turned down. But it does seem to be running. I am getting some weird hitching at this point. Not sure what that is. It was running perfect a second ago. Yeah, definitely got something weird going on here. I'm not sure if it's coming through on the camera. But we'll get in the car and go on our merry way and see what happens. Alright, so we were hitting about 25 there for a second. Seem to be holding stable in the high 30s. But I'm definitely getting some weird little lag spikes and hitching going on here. So we seem to be holding stable right around 40 FPS, you guys. So, as per usual, we'll just get some gameplay and just drive around for a minute, dick around a little bit, and move on to the next one. Apparently I can't drive. Oh, jeez. You would think that for somebody who has a couple of 100 hours into this game, I could actually drive a little bit better. Now, I will say that for a CPU and GPU, or a platform this old in general, I am genuinely impressed, because these are considered relatively newer games. So, not too bad. On a budget, this would be acceptable. Oh geez, there we go again. Got some style with my drifts there. CPU is still pegged right around 90 to 100% at all times. I'm wondering if we might have some thermal throttling going on. I wish that the MSI overlay would work so that I could tell. But alright, you guys. This one looks like a win. Not bad. We will go ahead and move on to the next one. Alright, you guys. So we are now into EVE Online. And I don't know what it is about this game, but this game always runs good. You could run this on a potato, I swear. We are getting right around 70 FPS, you guys. That's not bad at all. So we're going to fly around, hit up some stations, get into some heavier demanding environments, and see how this thing does. First thing I want to do, we're going to warp to the sun here. And we're going to see what this looks like. Isn't that beautiful, you guys? This game is absolutely gorgeous. It does appear that our CPU is finally not screaming for its life anymore. Still high usage. So, we are warping through space. We are maintaining right around 60 FPS. And there's our sun. So, since you can't really see anything, I'm going to go ahead and turn the texture detail up a little bit and see if we can't get a better visual experience here. Alright, you guys, so I went ahead and turned everything up to medium, and this looks much better, and we've had almost no performance impact. I mean, we're dipping down into the 50s here and there, but we're still running between 60 and 70 FPS. CPU usage has definitely gone up. It's at 99%. GPU has definitely gone up. So this is actually pretty impressive, you guys. Let's go to a station and see what happens. So the stations in this game are places that you can dock up, you can store your loot, and just have a general safe spot. For me, I have stuff stored in multiple different stations all throughout this game. There's literally thousands of systems. I probably got 100 plus systems with loot, but it just ensures that you don't lose it. Alright, so when we have objects in our immediate space, we are definitely getting some dips, but it does like to go back up to around the 60 FPS mark, which is not bad at all. I've seen as low as 39 FPS, but still very playable experience, you guys. And if you look right there, we have our moon. So we will warp to one more thing. We are going to go to a planet here and see what kind of performance impact that we have. Alright, you guys, so we have landed, and this planet is absolutely massive. This thing is huge. So again, when there are more objects to render, it does like to bring our FPS down a little bit, but it does stabilize right around 60 FPS. So I would definitely call this a win. This is absolutely playable, not bad at all, you guys. with that being said, let's move on to the next one. Alright, you guys, so next up is Valheim. And it is running absolutely horrible. What a shame. I thought that we would get so much more out of this i7, you guys. Tons of little hitches and lag spikes. We are running in the low 20 FPS range. There are some moments of clarity where it'll run okay, like right now I'm in the 30s, which would technically be acceptable, but it's a horrible 30. And I don't think I'm going to find any environment where it's going to stop this. All in all, I am quite disappointed. I thought that this would perform so much better. So I'm thinking that that capacitor being broken off the board could be causing an issue, or my SSD is not exactly the best SSD. Yeah, because it's not doing very well at all. Not to mention that when I was downloading these games, it has taken hours and hours. It is literally almost 5 a.m. So I've been working on this video now for probably about the past 10 hours to get everything situated. And then I died. Go figure. So I think with all that being said, you guys, this is going to be the last one. I would say that this PC would probably work for much older games. This newer stuff is just, it's not going to cut it, unfortunately. Well, you guys, can't say we didn't try. At least we're keeping it out of the landfill. Honestly, with that broken capacitor, I am astounded that it works. So I'm hoping that sometime in the near future, I can get those extra capacitors that I ordered. I did order them off Amazon, so they should be here relatively soon, I'm hoping anyways. And then I can hopefully just get a new capacitor in there, maybe try a new SSD, and then see what happens with that. Remember, you guys, like, subscribe, comment, share. All 3 PC builds that I've done are going to be going up for grabs in a raffle when we hit 500 subscribers, you guys. Along with a ton of gaming consoles. A couple PS2s, some Wii consoles, Nintendo DS, and I might be forgetting maybe a PS4. But when we hit 500 subs, all that stuff is going to be going up in a raffle. So, until next time, you guys, I will catch you in the next one. Stay safe in the world. Thanks for watching.